Hey, everybody, welcome back to this episode of Think Business Live. Hey, everybody, looking forward to talking to Kyle Duford, Executive Creative Director of The Brand Leader, an executive specialized in crafting outstanding experience for global brands. Kyle, I'm looking forward to talking with you. I love talking about branding and how people should be thinking about branding. I think it's so important. I think a lot of, if we rewind to March 2020, I think a lot of people put branding and marketing on the shelf when really they should have doubled up. And now they're trying to figure out how to build their brand in a endemic post-pandemic.
Right.
And so how should companies be thinking about branding today? Welcome to the show. Thanks for taking time.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's really interesting because we saw a lot of businesses, some of them were very public, some of them not so much, but go through a rebrand during the pandemic. I think a lot of folks took the opportunity. The real famous ones, Burger King, Kia did the same thing. The opportunity to take the downtime, if you will. Not all those businesses shut down completely, but took the downtime to reevaluate, like, what can we do in this time that we're still using our resources, we're still using our people, we can come out of this thing a little bit more ahead.
Yeah.
And also it's you saw a lot of people during the pandemic say, you know what, screw this, I want to do my own thing or what I'm passionate about. And so they started, developing their own brand, if you will, or business or whatever. What we're seeing now is kind of like you said, in the endemic or post-pandemic, however you want to look at it, a lot of businesses are saying, well, we need to reposition ourselves. We need to figure out who we are now. How do we relate to people in this new world? And some of that might sound a little, weird because they're like, well, we're kind of back to normal. But if you think about it from a retail perspective, from a positioning perspective, maybe damage control for some businesses and how they handle the situation. Yeah. So they're repositioning themselves, they're rebranding. It's really interesting time right now, for sure.
But when you talk about repositioning, let's talk about that, because when there's repositioning and making sure that your message is clear in the consumer's mind today. So just kind of differentiate that, because I think if you're going to reposition, are you saying that companies are saying, hey, we're going to reposition because we have a new consumer, or our consumers are thinking differently today, so we need to retarget them differently, or we need to clean up our message to make ourselves even more specific so we can take some of the thinking out of actually what we do?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of all of those. Again, it's the idea of, especially the last two you hit on, is so they know what we do now. Maybe they can think of us differently, but also so they know our new services or new opportunities. If you think again from, consumer products or consumables, there's a lot of folks that had to understand, how do I appropriate myself to this business now? Like Target, I was in Target yesterday with my wife, for example, and Target just released their mask mandate. How does that look to the public compared to maybe a Best Buy or a Walmart or a Kohl's or something, whatever? So people are trying to figure out, well, how do I handle this business or that business? What does this mean to me? Whether you're a masker or you're not, that's an obvious one. But a lot of the folks in the beginning, kind of mid-pandemic, when a lot of these big businesses were saying, oh, well, we never developed our omni-channel strategy, we never figured out how to do clicks to bricks and so forth, had to really quickly pivot and figure that stuff out. And some did it better than others. So now you're looking back going, which brand, which business did me well, did me right? And which one do I want to stick with? And so that's what I mean. Like, if you look at a Target, which doesn't really need to reposition, but in the sense that they were one of the first to go full mask, and they're one of the first to eliminate it all completely. And yet their process and how you can, relate to their products, purchase their products, experience their stores, that's what went this fundamental shift in the process. So, they were the first ones to put out, I don't know why I'm picking on Target, probably just foremost in my mind right now.
Right.
They're the ones who, started putting up these opportunities to come, pick up in the parking lot. And a lot of businesses followed. So that's a big piece, is like, how can you make my life easier and that sort of thing. It's just fascinating to me.
Yeah, no, I love what you're talking about. I want to talk about the idea how I think everybody can be a global brand today. And there's no barriers to doing business across state lines for most businesses. I'm not talking about ones that have compliance issues or things of that nature, but from a consumer purchasing, my business, I can work with people, and I do all over the world as a business coach. You're selling retail. I think we've seen a surge of what e-commerce really is, for not only for the retail sector, but for the professional service person, like myself, like you. And so how can you be a solopreneur, right? Or an entrepreneur of 50 people, let's say, and still, or let's say even less, sometimes even 10 people, 15 people, and still build a global brand? Because I think it can be entirely done.
I agree.
Yeah.
A lot of it is how you see yourself. And
mindset you're talking.
Completely. I'll give you a quick example, and then I'll get back into that. When I started here 2 years ago, CEO had been in business for 21 years. And, like I told you, pre-recording, we're in Greenville, South Carolina, but we're not a Greenville, South Carolina agency, meaning we don't just serve locally. And
I just want to interrupt you for 1 second, because when I went to your website today, it said, "Hey, we love Royal Oak," and da da da. Well, I live in a city called Huntington Woods, which is next to Royal Oak. So I said to you, Kyle, I can't believe I don't know you and your team. Your business is across the street from where I live. And you said, "No, we're in South Carolina." Yeah, South Carolina. It does geo-targeting, and so how clever, right? Because it gives you that boutique feel while you're hundreds of miles away.
Yeah, that's true. And the goal is, and it doesn't always work 100%. Like, in your case, if you're in like the middle of Los Angeles, it'll say we love Los Angeles, right? Smaller cities, smaller counties, whatever, are different. But the interesting thing was we were only working with regional businesses. We were rebranding, still doing a great job. And I came on board. We had some discussions, and I'm like, guys, our stuff is just amazing. Our designs are great. Our branding is great. Our thinking, our strategy, it's literally in line with branding firms in New York, LA, Chicago, Minneapolis, whatever. We are no longer going to think of ourselves as a Greenville, South Carolina agency. We're going to think of ourselves as a international branding agency, which happens to be in Greenville, South Carolina. Now, ever since then, all we've been taking is national phone calls. Now, did anything fundamentally switch? No. It was just this mindset of we have the right now to go after businesses that we never thought we had the right to do before. And so in the 2 years since we kind of changed this new tact, it's all mindset. It's all how we believe in what we can do. And so when you talk about e-commerce and either state line barriers or national, international barriers, one, go back to what we talked about during pandemic. A lot of folks had to figure out how to move products and services across state lines in a different way. But also, it's just a matter of we're so connected digitally now. We're so part of this world digital ecosystem that it's almost incumbent upon you to become global rather than sticking back and holding to a local audience. Now, if you're providing a service which is physical, obviously there's a different situation there. But you mentioned e-commerce. Yeah, if there's no regulation barriers, and there's no reason you shouldn't be considering yourself a global brand.
Yeah. Right. And even if you don't, it may happen. I remember when I started getting clients out of the United States and other countries, and in Italy and in Israel, and minus the time difference is not that big of a deal, because you're FaceTime, you're Zooming, your Teams. I mean, it's pretty easy, and I think people are more accustomed to just what that feels like. And even as we're kind of ending out of this pandemic, I think Zoom and Teams, I think a lot of people are videoed out, but they still are a great follow-up support meetings. If I'm a client of yours, it's easy to say, hey, let's have a follow-up meeting via Zoom, where it makes people are, I think, in tune with it now, where a year and a half ago, it just seemed completely foreign.
You're right. Not only was it foreign, but it was almost kind of weird, right?
Yeah,
my wife always had this policy of like, we don't do FaceTime unless it's our kids or each other. Like it used to be weird. Even if my brother FaceTime me, I'm like, what the hell are you FaceTime me for? Like, call me. Now it's almost like pulled the curtain away. And now any business call that I have, which always would have been a call before, we're not talking a workshop or something that you you couldn't have been in person, and so therefore you had to have it on Zoom. Anything that was just like checking in on a phone call has now become video.
Correct.
And it's almost maddening because you don't want to you don't want to do it that way with everyone. But we have a client in Italy who's fantastic, and they found us through a global search. We were one of 4 finalists in 4 different countries. They signed up with us, and we said, listen, we'd love to come over and present to the board. And they went, no. Don't waste your money. Like, we can do everything over Zoom. We
love it.
We'll never have to go to Italy. Now, we'd like to. We're like, no, seriously, we'll come.
Yeah, no, we want to write it off. We want to get there. Right.
Like, no, there's no reason to. And they're like, we can do it this way. We're comfortable with it. It works for us. It works for you. And so I think that's one thing that is enabled. Look, definitely it doesn't hurt the budget.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So it's good. It's a lot of things good have come out of this.
So I want to talk to you about this. I want to talk about, you guys you're a creative branding agency specializing in strategy and design that connects brands with customers in game-changing ways. And so the word I really want to focus on is connecting the brand with the customer.
Okay.
I think a lot of times, I think that's where people get stuck, right? There's that do-it-yourselfer. There's that type of company that they feel like they have the strategy, they have a strategy, they have a design, but they're disconnected, even in a subtle way. And so there's a disconnect from the brand to the consumer versus a connect. And I think that's where companies like yourself, this morning on my Coffee with John kind of morning 2-minute tip, I had someone named Karen Larson, who also is a branding strategist, talking about the importance of brand auditing, because you have to connect it. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's so subtle. So when companies don't use people who specialize in what you do, they can't figure out why they're not building the momentum that they need to, or getting the conversions that they need to. So talk about really what it takes to connect the brand and the customer.
Well, you can't answer that question without asking yourself, what is a brand? And I believe, especially with the proliferation of internet and tools and things like Adobe Suite and stuff, and cheaper DSLR cameras or a 12 megapixel ability to shoot from your iPhone. I think everyone thinks everyone can do it. It's just easy. Oh, I can brand. As a matter of fact, I know people here locally who even say, oh, I'm a brander. And I'm like, you're not really. You design $50 logos. That's a completely different thing. So to understand what a brand is, I mean, you have to go to the definition from like David Ogilvy from the 60s, who would say it's the intangible sum of all of a brand or business's parts. It's not just the logo. It's the way you speak. It's the way you what your product is, all these things, service level.
What's the book he wrote? He wrote a book. I can't remember the name of it. I think he wrote a book that a lot of advertising people use.
Yeah, I should know the title of that.
I can't think of it, but you can Google it. People can Google it. Right. But keep on going. Yeah.
So we say that a brand is really the emotional connection between a business, its product or its service, with a consumer. It might not even be a consumer, with a potential consumer. It could be anybody. That emotional connection is what has to presuppose everything else. It's a requisite of having a good business, because if I don't understand who you are and trust you because I have a connection with you, then everything else falls short. Now, if it's a commoditized item, you might not care where you get gas. We just went through this gas shortage here in South Carolina last week or 2 weeks ago.
I saw that. Yeah.
That was crazy. But like, if you don't care where you get gas, you go to Exxon or Sunoco or Shell, it doesn't matter. That's one thing. But if you're like, nope, I only put mobile, premium in my car, then you want to know why. Why do you do that? Well, you feel I'm making this up, by the way, but like, I feel it's the best, or, it takes the knocks out, or it just gives my engine high performance, whatever it might be. It's because you've experienced something with that brand. So when we're talking about connecting brands to consumers, it's all about helping a business define who they are. Let's understand who you are. I just went through an exercise with a business not too long ago. Our whole leadership team went through it with them, and they didn't know what they don't know. So they want to build the brand, build the legacy, and they don't know where to start. We said, let's just do a quick workshop with you guys. So it was a 2-hour workshop, and long story short, we asked them all, how would you describe your business in a few words? Every single one of them had completely disparate answers.
Yeah.
These were the C-suite level people talking about their very successful business, describing to us who they were, and not one of them used a common word. So my response was, how would a customer know who you are if you guys don't know who you are?
Yeah.
The CEO is going, no, this is who we are. And the operations guy's going, no, this is who we are. And the CFO is going, no, I know this is who we are. And the marketing person has a completely different angle. You will never have coherency in the marketplace if you don't fundamentally know who you are. So if you don't know that, you won't connect. We peel all the layers of the onion back. We look at everything from a brand essence to its archetype, how they might be perceived in the marketplace, how they appropriate themselves to a customer or a segment of people, their audience, if you will. We identify the personas and all these things, which might not sound exciting, but if you don't lay that groundwork, it doesn't matter what comes afterwards.
Yeah.
You might have a connection, but it might not be the right connection, not the one that you want. So that's what we do.
You got to lay the foundation. So fundamentally, I love everything that you're talking about. All right, Kyle, you ready for a quick speed round?
Oh gosh. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Finish this sentence. One thing every company needs to do with their branding today is
get buy-in from all their business, from all their stakeholders.
Okay. Favorite book and why?
Oh gosh, the first thing I was going to say was Nick Hornby's High Fidelity, just because I just love going off and reading that has nothing to do with what I do for a living.
Okay, good. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received?
If you start a business, don't use your own money. And if you do use your own money, make sure you have people putting in more money than you.
Good. That's a good one. One thing people would be surprised to know about you?
I'm married to Billy Graham's granddaughter.
Oh, wow. That's very cool. Define yourself in one word.
Passionate.
All right. Fast forward 100 years. What do you want your legacy to be?
That I really cared for and loved people, and that I was kind to everyone I came into touch with.
Love that. Finish this sentence. One thing everybody needs to do to grow their business through the end of 2021.
Pay attention.
That's good. Hey, that's great. That's great advice. Pay attention in real time because it's changing every minute as we're ending this endemic, getting out of this pandemic and going back. And I think things are going to change and evolve very, very quickly as things seem to already. I think people are going to enjoy the summer and then they're going to buckle down, and fourth quarter is going to be really big. And we got to prepare and got to pay attention to all those signs. Hey, Kyle, I can't thank you enough for taking time to be on the show today. I just want to highlight a couple things. The importance of laying down a foundation and understanding, of course, what brand is, but what your brand is. Yeah. And fundamentally, you have got to. I'm just gonna say what you just said because I think it's so simple, it's complicated. Really pay attention. Pay attention to everything that's going on around you. Pay attention to internally, externally. Listen, ask questions so people can really give you feedback, so you can really hone in on your brand. Because at the end of the day, it's all about connecting brands with consumers. And if you're going to do it, you got to do it right, because most companies don't have enough money to do it wrong. And I think a lot of companies do. And so my final thought is I appreciate you really sharing, getting down to the nitty gritty of the power of fundamentals. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say have fun. Like brand should not be a stretch. If you're passionate about what you do and what your business is, what service or product you're offering to people, then they're gonna be excited and passionate to receive it. So just be authentic, be passionate, and just keep plugging away. Like this is a good time to be in business. Yeah,
I love it. Think community. If Kyle can reach out, if Kyle can help you in any way, they can be reached at thebrandleader.com. Any other ways people can connect with you, Kyle?
On LinkedIn, just Kyle Duford. Give a search for me. I think there's only me and one other guy in Canada named after me. So I'm easy to find. And I will say, listen, if you don't need to use us, you don't need to hire us, but I will help you out however I can. I just think it's important to get good brand knowledge out there. So if it's not me, it's one of my colleagues. Happy to help out however we can.
I love it. Think community. If Kyle can help you, thebrandleader.com, or check him out on LinkedIn to get additional resources. And also, like Kyle was talking about, you can go to my website, johndwoskin.com. You can download my book for free, or you can go to Amazon and pay for it, but you can download it for free. You can download my 100-page How to Think Big workbook, 10 chapters of just solid content. Kyle, appreciate you. Think community, appreciate you all tuning in. This was great. I appreciate it. Kyle, stay on the line for just a second. Think community. And Kyle, thanks so much.
Thank you, John.